It has, oh, yes. It has been a long day, so I hope you are up to a few more talks. Uh, I'm working at the University of Aalborg in Denmark. I'm the director of Center for Food Science, Design and Experience, and this also means that I'm from the context of social science, mostly working with social science. I hope you bear with me because most of today has been from other fields. The question put up here is, can a tomato change the world? And this is a question we have not worked with, but that has been a kind of mantra for a project financed by the European Union, a strategic partnership. And this partnership has worked for 4 years now, also during COVID, because we have extremely problems. Most of us do not take very much care of the environment, and we create a lot of problems that we shouldn't make, especially as customers and consumers. We are doing rather bad things. And since the future is the children's, we have found that teaching the children about a better way to consume, that we can do some work for a better and more sustainable world. The partners in the project is from 5 countries, but they are very different because there's two institutions, two universities dealing with science, one in Denmark that I represent, and then the only gastronomic science university in the world from Italy. And we also have a WHO, World Health Organization, with us from Slovenia, and Health Trust Education, which is a foundation from UK. And then there's 4 schools where we have been doing all the project parts. And this is a school from Denmark, one from UK, one from Spain, and one from Slovenia. I'm going to speak most about the Danish school. However, I'm going just to give you a glimpse of the Slovenian project, because there it was defined that they wanted to work with food waste on the school, simply to understand how much waste they were producing in the school. It's an area in Slovenia that is very, very poor on the east, very east of Slovenia, Murska Sobota, and there the children are very, very depending on getting both breakfast, lunch, and some food before they go home, or else they simply won't have food. So it was a great problem, of course, that there also was waste, because the economy is so troubled. And it actually went very positive, because the children, the pupils themselves, decided not just to measure this waste, but to do something about it. And this means that today, nearly 2.5 years after that, they have very, very little waste. So this was an initiative made by the children themselves, and not by the project or the teachers. In Denmark, at Arden School, the possibilities are in, you could say, another world, because Denmark is a rather rich country, so we have many possibilities. The School of Arden is working a lot with their natural science curriculum, and this means that many classes has interdisciplinary crossover teaching, So they teach in English or French. So it's both language and natural science issues. They grow food themselves that they eat in the canteen, etc., etc. And they have this biodiversity area together with the community around the school, because the social dimension is also important for them. We worked out a kind of lab wagon. It's also sometimes called the sprout wagon, because we have been growing sprouts that the children could measure the energy, also the nutrition on, and then eat them afterwards. But this to cross over in teaching about sustainable issues is a very important thing. Let's come back to the tomato, because one plant is, I think, a kind of romantic issue. Uh, it smells nice. Actually, a tomato is a fruit. There's 20,000 species of tomatoes, and we eat a lot of them. And doing so, we have landscapes like this. This is from Spain, but you could find the same landscape in Greece, Italy, etc., where we simply mass produce the tomato. And this industrial production was in the 1980s, and the beginning of the 1990s, part of some new visions or missions that concerned gene technology. And there was, for instance, work about a blue tomato. There was work about uh, another form than the round one, the cubic one, because we move the tomato many, many kilometers every day in the world. And to pack the tomato, if you have this cubic one, there's no space with air, so you can move more tomatoes than if they are round. However, all these Frankenstein food scenarios that was created never went to the market, because there was a big anger and aversion about all this. Actually, one of the best designers in the world, Rossi, made this pot as a cube in protest. It didn't sell that much, but after his death, there was a team that found out that this is the perfect pot for risotto, because if you have made risotto, that you have to stir a lot in your pot, and sometimes you get a little lazy and then the risotto is not good. But in this square pot, you get very stressed because you don't know where you are, so you stir a lot. That's a nice story. However, doing some experiments at the food lab in the Italian university, Gastronomic Science University, we dealt with the tomato to try to produce seeds, because the tomato is special. When it's mature, then the seeds is also mature, and actually it cost nothing to keep the seeds. And by this, if you taste a very good tomato, you can keep the seeds, and you can, if you give them the right treatment, you can see to that you can plant the seeds, and then you have your own tomatoes, especially those that you perhaps eat tonight. I'm sure there will be tomato on the menu. So if any of you cultivate tomato, you already know these steps, but this was given to the students and the pupils, and it has been a great success, because this to put hands on, this to do a difference when you have these very big problems in front of you can be very frustrating. And what can I do as a person? What can I do as a child? So, by giving them these lectures and hands on exercises, we found that it was very positive they gave very positive feedback, and we could also, in all classes around in Europe that was involved, we could measure that their learning process was strengthened and that their knowledge about processes was very much enhanced. So in the end, in a project, a small little project like this, one seed actually did something very positive for the community around the schools because often they were involved. It did something very good in the understanding of what the biodiversity is a factor, and the resilience was also a very important thing. And in the very end, there was an understanding about sustainability and how to behave. This is one of the young researchers from the Italian university giving lecture in Denmark, and this exchange also of knowledge was a very important part, and the language was there. It proved that it matters about learning other languages because if you can some of the main languages, you can actually understand and therefore behave much better. You can use the tomato to many things. So we also have made experiments to make a kind of textile from the tomato skin. And this is another project, but I just wanted to show you that it can be interesting if you really dissect things like this. But as a conclusion, I just want to tell you that we started in we started believing that the universities should give learning, teaching to the teachers in the schools, and then the teachers should educate the pupils. But it turned out that we were wrong. It was the pupils that learned, both the teachers and the schools and the university, a lot of things. And since they took the knowledge home, the families was also very involved. And by this, if we made some interviews, if we made some counting, I'm sure that this little seed that was planted has become many tomatoes. So the answer for this question here is that we perhaps not need a whole tomato. One seed can do a lot of things. Thank you.